As Jackson, Mississippi continues to face a clean water shortage, officials said the crisis is a result of years-long issues. The city's main water treatment facility was damaged after a high level of flooding due to heavy rainfall over the last week. The damaged facility resulted in a loss of water pressure in areas that receive water from the plant, including Jackson. The floodwater also changed the overall composition of the water, making it difficult to treat and dangerous. The city's mayor said staffing shortages, system issues, and equipment failures have all contributed to the water plant failure.
I have said on multiple occasions that it's not a matter of if our system would fail, but a matter of when our system would fail. This is a set of accumulated problems based on deferred maintenance that has not taken place over decades.
The mayor said it could cost billions of dollars to fix or replace the water plant and to solve the ongoing crisis.
So what I want to begin with is a statement from the December 12th movement, and then we'll hear from State Senator Cordell Clare. It's called Billions for Ukraine, We Say Billions for Jackson. In 2022, in the richest country the world has ever seen, Jackson, the capital of Mississippi, has no water for drinking, cooking, bathing, flushing a toilet, or fighting a fire. As of this moment, the situation is predicted to continue indefinitely. We are calling on President Joe Biden to expeditiously authorize billions of dollars in emergency funds to address both the current humanitarian crisis, triggered by the climate crisis-induced flooding, and the implementation of long-term actions, steps to correct decades-long operational neglect of Jackson's water system. The situation in Jackson is not new nor unexpected. As Jackson Mayor Antar Lumumba said, quote, "We've been crying out for more than 2 years, saying that it's not a matter of if our water systems will fail, but a matter of when our systems will fail." Almost 17 years to the day of the Katrina man-made disaster, the citizens of predominantly black Jackson are facing the same problem which the citizens of then predominantly black New Orleans had. As Jelani Cobb noted in 2005, quote, "Katrina can be viewed as the first of a series of crises that seem to have become a referendum on black citizenship," unquote. Jackson is the latest crisis in that series, which now includes Flint, Michigan, Detroit, Michigan, and Newark, New Jersey. Clearly, the referendum has voted thumbs down on black citizenship. The citizens of Jackson are the victims of structural and environmental racism. And we are concerned that this latest disaster of capitalism not become a cover to force people out of Jackson as part of the ongoing ethnic cleansing of black people around the United States. What black people have learned through these crises is that we must organize to take care of ourselves. We cannot depend upon anyone else to do it out of benevolence or simply because it is the humane thing to do. We'll join with other groups around the country to get aid to Jackson. But the investment needed to address the roots of the problem has to come from the federal government. We've got to bring that pressure to bear on Joe Biden. 2 years ago, President-elect Biden said that black people made his election possible, that we had his back and he'll have ours. Well, the time to have our backs is now. Send the aid to Jackson as quickly and extensively as you have been sending it to the Ukraine. That's our blood down there. No more Ukraine Katrinas.
So I stand here today with December 12th echoing those words. What happens to black people anywhere happens to black people everywhere. We have to stand together for the protection of our communities. Enough. Environmental racism is not new to us. We have suffered it across this country, right here in this very community. It is the housing that we've lived in, the housing we've lived in that was so deteriorated, that we suffered under conditions that made us susceptible to lead poisoning, that made us susceptible to asthma, and every other negative condition you can think of. It is because of who is affected that they do nothing. And right now, 17 years after Katrina, we knew the water was a problem. It doesn't take a scientist to understand that. But it's because who is affected that we stand by and we let it happen. And we use these tools to gentrify and get rid of black people in communities. Just like this one, where we suffered benign neglect for decades and no one paid attention. We were here when nobody wanted to be here, and now we can't even stay here. This is the plan for Jackson. But we're not going to let that happen. We are going to band together across this country and stand up for those who cannot stand up for themselves. We say send the money to Jackson now.
Send the money to Jackson.
Now.
Send the money to Jackson.
Now.
Send the money to Jackson.
Now.
When?
Now.
Send the money.
Now. This is the climate change affecting us, and it has affected us. All the bus depots in our community, all the toxic waste in our community, wastewater treatment plants in our communities, because of who we are, simply because of who we are, not because there's no other place to put them. Neglecting our systems just because of who we are. We demand that our government pay attention to the people of Jackson, Mississippi. And my office will do whatever it can to organize and to make sure that help gets to our brothers and sisters, because that is who they are. They are our brothers and sisters. And if you think it's okay, today Jackson, tomorrow it's you. So let us all band together. I want to thank December 12th for always keeping these issues on the forefront, because we have to be concerned about each other globally. Even the instances and things that we see, the treatment that we get here in our own community, it's reflected. It's reflected nationally in other similar communities. So I stand with you today proudly, and whatever we need to do, I'm with you.
That's our blood.
It's our blood.
That's our blood. That's our blood.
Down there.
That's our blood.
Down there.
I want to call up Comrade Bill Doors from Struggle La Lucha to say a few words.
Thank you. It's an honor to be here. Struggle La Lucha, our organization. We stand 10,000% behind the just demand that billions of dollars be rushed to the black community of Jackson and Mississippi and put under the control of the black community of Jackson, Mississippi. Roger Wareham said that this is the wealthiest country in the world. We know where that wealth came from. And before the Civil War, Mississippi, the white slave owners of Mississippi were the richest people in this country. That wealth has not gone away. When I was a child, Jackson and Mississippi was synonymous with racist terror, with the murder of the civil rights workers, with Cheney, Goodman, and Schwerner, with Parchman State Farm, with Governor Ross Barnett. And today we see that terror is continuing, because what is this but racist terror when the federal government allows a black city to be destroyed by flooding, to go without water, without sanitation, And we know what they want to do. They want to take it over for the real estate interests. The banks, the same ones who got rich off slavery, they want to take that money they stole and put it to work buying land that should belong to the people there. The U.S. government has money to destroy all over the world. In Iraq, in Syria, in Palestine, in Ukraine, they can blow up water systems and schools and hospitals. We say they should give that money to build water systems to help the people of Jackson and to allow the people of Jackson to stay on their land. No to ethnic cleansing, no to gentrification, reparations now. Billions for Jackson, not for Ukraine.
Down there, I want to bring up Brother Jason Corley from Cuba C.
Peace, you all. On behalf of the Cuba C Coalition, just want to point out that the same way in which the U.S. tries to grind down the Cuban people, destroy the Cuban socialist process through its unending 6-decade economic embargo, it is that same way that they have disregard for working class people here in the U.S., particularly those who are black. The same way they try to destroy Cuba with the embargo, they grind down the people of, or rather ignored the people of New Orleans during Katrina in 2005. The way they in fact continue to ignore people of Jamaica, Queens, who last year, 1 year ago today, suffered a major flooding, and many of these people are still without homes to this day. Jamaica, Queens, predominantly black and immigrant. As a footnote, when Cuba offered medical assistance to the people of New Orleans back in 2005, since Cuba was in fact geographically closest to New Orleans at the time, the U.S. government cynically refused the aid. That is, they didn't do anything for black people in New Orleans, and they were going to be damned if they were going to let anybody else do anything for blacks in New Orleans. So as Cuba, we know, has a long history of solidarity with people fighting against hardship worldwide, including here in the United States. On that note, as a representative of the Cuba C Coalition, I demand that the U.S. government send immediate aid to the people of Jackson, Mississippi, and that they not hinder any aid from any place, even if it comes from Cuba. Anybody or any entity that wants to give aid to the people of Jackson must be allowed to do so, but that aid first and foremostly should come from the very government here in the United States. Billions for Jackson now. Thank you.
That's our blood. That's our blood. At this point, I'm going to bring up the chairperson of the December 12th movement, Sister Viola Plummer.
Brothers, sisters, comrades, Michigan happened, right? Katrina, South Jamaica, etc., etc., etc. The time now in our organizations need to be a discussion around increasing the demands, using new tools of the demand. You know, this country has a real good PR system. And it tells us that this is as much as we could do. Well, I recall some time ago, I think the president was Reagan, when there could not be one call received at the Washington headquarters of Reagan. That there were so many people calling. That so many people called daily, every day. So many people called. We have to think of what are the other things that we need to use to make our demands. To make our demands. Comrades, I offer you the information that December 12th has. I offer you our knowledge of other tools. I offer you our determination that this ought to be the last Katrina. I offer you that this ought to be the last press conference demanding payment, demanding efforts by the federal government, by the state government, by any government entity that has the wherewithal to ease the horrendous burden of the people of Jackson, Mississippi. I say to you that December 12th movement, some of us who came from Mississippi, right, will make sure that Greaves understand he's got to give up the money. See, y'all need to come to a meeting at the December 12th movement very soon, let's say Monday, and let us talk about how we make Greaves give up the money. Thank you for listening to me.
That's our blood. That's our blood. So, if people listen very closely to what Viola said, if you have gotten a flyer, has our contact information on it, you can give your contact information to our folks, because this has got to continue. This cannot be simply an event. We wanted to highlight what was happening. We wanted to point out what the nature of the contradiction is. And it's not simply a Jackson contradiction, it's a Harlem contradiction, it's a Bed-Stuy contradiction, it's a Newark contradiction. We're fighting genocide, we're fighting ethnic cleansing, we're fighting for reparations. It's our fight, we've got to take the lead on it. So, those of you who came out, Viola says we never thank people for doing what they're supposed to do. You're supposed to be here. Take the word out, spread it, let people know what's happening. It's our blood. It's our blood. And it's our blood up here. Thank you.